Nvidia clearly thinks a lot differently about OpenAI than they did in September of last year. This comes down to what's been happening really since October 29th, before that 5% drawdown in the S&P back then, where if you look at the Google ecosystem of companies since October 29th, they're up about 25%.
Yeah.
If you look at the OpenAI ecosystem of companies, they're down about 25%. And some of the latest releases from Google just make me feel that much better that Google's going to ultimately be the winner in consumer AI, and Anthropic is going to be one of the winners in enterprise AI, and OpenAI is in trouble because they're wedged between the two of them.
So I think there are some concerns here with OpenAI. They are not a publicly traded company, which doesn't necessarily mean it's bad. But the problem is they have to keep raising money, like hundreds of millions of dollars or billions of dollars, and then they burn through it super fast. They're having a really hard time getting profitable. Google has been basically, by many analysts' opinions, beating OpenAI. They keep releasing new things. Like if you look at like Stitch, Stitch allows you to essentially develop entire platforms, apps, websites, etc. in minutes. You have Genie, which is scaring a lot of game developers because of how amazing that is. You have Anti-Gravity, which is like if you want to build all sorts of things, like whether it's a WordPress plugin or software or an app or HTML calculator or whatever, you can do that pretty much instantly with Anti-Gravity. You have Gemini, which is a lot of people's go-to model to compete with OpenAI. Now, OpenAI has released some pretty solid products as well. They have Sora, they have the new Codex app, they have Prism, and then they've created different variations that are kind of like skins of the same thing from ChatGPT, but they are in competition. In many analyst opinions, if you just go and do your research, it seems like Google might actually be winning for just public usage of AI in terms of they give away so much for free and they're so reasonably priced in many areas when you actually have to start paying for a subscription, which in many cases people don't because they don't use it enough unless it's for your job or your business. Then it's really hard for ChatGPT and OpenAI to compete. They can't even hardly get profitable. They're constantly having to raise money. Google doesn't have to worry about that. They're already one of the top tech companies in the world over the past few decades. They have plenty of money, plenty of resources. They're coming out with new, entirely new products constantly. Like every couple of weeks, you have a new product. Again, something like Anti-Gravity, like Prism, like Genie, that are things that could end up literally disrupting entire industries and democratizing how individual creators create software, create apps, create WordPress plugins, create video games, etc. So are these companies going to continue feeding money into OpenAI when you also have Claude, you have Anthropic, you have Google, all of these that are, you have Grok if you want to include them. They have different things that they may specialize in, but a lot of times they are better in specific use cases than anything OpenAI is doing. Even though OpenAI kind of started this trend, it's very worrisome, like for just investors looking from the outside in, like, well, I mean, we can't buy OpenAI stock, but even if I could, would I really want to do that? And now companies that are actually the ones that have been investing in OpenAI may be pausing and asking themselves, how much more do we want to give OpenAI? How much do we want to rely on OpenAI? I mean, just look at Microsoft as an example and how much they invested in OpenAI right off the bat, how that's impacting Azure and where that's getting their stock right now. AI demand is becoming broader and more diversified as more of these advanced models come out. And we don't know for sure if OpenAI is even in the lead in any major category. Now, Nvidia looks like they'll be fine because they are kind of positioning themselves as AI infrastructure and not just a fad supplier or a supplier of chips. They are literally like the infrastructure for a lot of these major AI platforms. But these companies that are dumping hundreds of millions of dollars or billions of dollars into OpenAI, are they actually going to get the return on that investment that they're looking for? I think that's a really big concern right now. You might want to do some research on these companies that are heavily invested in OpenAI and how much they are actually relying on them, because OpenAI could go under. They could get acquired by another company. We don't know what's going to happen with them yet.